Gotta go grab my luggage and my rifle. Got about a 3.5 hour ride to camp, and the hunt begins. Look at this country. This big rolling, open mule deer country. Check this. I'll turn the camera around. This is kind of a tradition I like to do. I love the smell of sage. We pick some sage and we put it in the car. Much better than any air freshener you can buy right there. We're almost there. Been seeing some deer along the route. So hopefully we're going to be seeing some deer out on the hunting grounds. All right, guys, we are packed up. We're ready to head out. It is the first morning. It's snowing, and it should put these deer on their feet. Let's go see if we can find a big old mule deer to put our tag on, and see what happens. But first morning, just our little hideaway here for the week. Let's go. Well, morning one is a wrap. We've seen some decent bucks. Didn't see any really big bucks. Probably the biggest we've seen might have went 135. So, grab a little lunch, heat up the coffee, and we'll go try again this afternoon. All right, we're out here on the mountain, and what we're going to do is we're going to pick a spot up here on the side of this mountain. We're going to pick a rock. I'm going to try to make one shot and see if we can make a one-shot kill. This is a great exercise to do. This is a great practice to do to get ready for some hunting, some longer shots, and just make sure that you can dope the wind. Make sure you can put that one round, that one shot on target, put it where you want and have a one-shot kill. And you know, if you got some time, maybe drive to several spots and do the same thing, you know, in an area where you're not hunting, where you're not going to disturb, you know, other hunters and yourself. So we got a spot picked out up here on this mountain at 625 yards. We're going to shoot one shot. We got a little bit of a breeze we got to account for. So let's set this up and see if we can hit this in one shot. All right, we're shooting at, if you see the big rock, the bottom right corner of the big rock, just below that, there's another small visible spot that a rock's kind of visible through the snow. We're going to shoot at that spot. We got a little bit of breeze right to left. Probably going to account for probably a half to a 3/4 minute of wind, 625 yards. See if we can hit it. All right, I jumped back in the car. It's about 9 degrees outside right now, so anyway. All right, so we'll probably find another spot. That was about 625 yards, and that was smoked right in the middle of the rock. That was an up angle of about probably 20 degrees. So that was shot with a 6 kilo 8K. I just hit it with a rangefinder, put in the dope exactly what it says. That rangefinder takes in your altitude, your barometric pressures, all of the above, and gives you an output for that. So it's just a great little drill to do, a great thing for you to practice. That'll really help make you confident in the field, really help you be confident when, you know, times arise when you need to make a shot and you need to call some wind, and you know that, you know, you imprint off of past experiences. You know you've done it, and you can trust in your abilities and trust your equipment to do it. All right, let's see if we can find a spot to shoot a little further. All right, just below center of the screen, we got a rock at 1,132 yards. I've never actually shot this rifle that far. I've shot this out to 9 something. It's pretty breezy. I'm gonna say we're probably gonna hold about 3 minutes of wind and see if we can get close to the center of that face. All right, I watched the impact in the scope and look close. Let me see where we hit. All right, I jumped back inside. It is cold and windy. It's quite a bit below freezing, and the wind is just whipping up here. So I've never shot this rifle past 900 and I believe 10 yards. It's my 7SS shooting a 195 grain bullet, a burger bullet, and we just shot that rock at 1,132 yards. It was right, get my bearings, it was right up there. 1,132 yards, up angle of probably about 15 degrees, and we had a really brisk wind. I held 3 minutes of wind, so on that shot I held almost, what is that, 36 inches? I was holding off the rock. I held 36 inches of wind, and I hit maybe, my elevation was perfect, and I hit right maybe a half a minute from my aim point. So I hit within probably 6-8 inches of exactly where I was aiming, so I drifted just a tick further, but we'd have had a dead elk and probably a dead mule deer on our first shot at 11:32. So this is just some really good practice, and it's shots like that that really up the confidence in the field when you're having to call wind, and when you're really, you know, just doesn't feel right holding your crosshairs that far off. But if you have to, you have to. You can't ignore it. The wind will do, it will push your bullet. So you can't ignore it. All right, I'm gonna drive out of here. All right, so we're ready to head her back out on evening number 2. We hunted yesterday evening, we hunted this morning, and so this is the 3rd time out. We're not seeing a lot of big bucks. We're seeing a lot of bucks, though. We're seeing literally probably in the 2 times that we've been out, we've seen hundreds of deer and probably 40 or 50 different bucks. And but we're not seeing anything, you know, that we're ready to put our tag on. There is 7 guys total, I believe, in camp, and out of 7 guys, nobody's seen any bucks that are bigger than probably, you know, a 130 maybe. We're hunting with an outfitter, and so we kind of feel like we've been oversold a little bit, which is, you know, it happens a lot in the outfitter. You know, when you go hire a guide or hire an outfitter, it happens a lot to where, you know, you kind of get sold that, oh, you're going to be able to shoot a 160 plus deer, and then you get there and you really struggle. This is the 3rd time that I've hunted with an outfitter, because we do most of our hunts as a guided or DIY hunts. And every hunt I've went on, I feel like we've been oversold. Now I know it's hunting. I know it's, you know, these deer aren't tied up. They're not in a fence. So you still have to find them. But I feel like outfitters could do a better job of being a little bit more realistic to their customers or clients, and not telling everybody, oh, you can shoot a 165, pretty much guaranteed 165 or better. You know, we shoot 180s, we shoot 200s. Well, maybe you do, but being realistic and is to me, it's super important. You got people spending thousands of dollars. You have people driving thousands of miles or flying to come hunt with you with high expectations, and then you're going to struggle finding a 140 buck. So that's basically where we find ourselves on this trip right now. Then here's what happens is every one of these guys in camp is going to want to take a buck home. They're going to shoot something. They're going to shoot Twinkie if they have to, just to take a cooler full of meat home and have something to show for the money they've spent. And so what happens is a lot of these 25 to 140 bucks get shot and get taken home in a cooler, because they'd rather do that. At least they got to take something home than, be left high and dry. And it's hard to get a really, good population of big bucks on a property when you have too many hunters doing that. So there's a few things that I feel like I've learned from past experiences, and some questions that I would advise anybody to ask, and questions that I know I'm going to be asking outfitters going forward on any hunts that I would do through an outfitter. First of all, for me, the number one thing that an outfitter needs to have is a pretty good chunk of private land, or hard to access public or BLM land that they might have pretty much exclusive rights to it. So that's pretty important. I would never pay an outfitter to take me into country where people are doing it themselves back in there, and you're just going to run into whoever and everybody that potentially is in there on their own. You're paying a premium price for a hunt while somebody else just bought a ticket and went and is hunting the same area. So just make sure that doesn't happen. One of a few of the questions that I feel like I've learned to ask, and one is this: how many acres are we hunting, and how many hunters are you hunting that land with every year? Because that's going to tell you a lot about how many good bucks potentially are on that property. In this situation, there's about 7,000 acres, and I found out after we started hunting that they bring on about 36 people a year to shoot 36 bucks. Well, that tells you 7,000 acres isn't going to produce a lot of really big bucks with that many hunters. So, those are some things that you might want to consider, and some questions that you might want to ask before you just go booking the outfitter. And the last thing that I would make sure that I'm doing is asking for referrals and calling a half a dozen of people that had past experiences with them and getting their, 10 cents. And they'll tell you more realistically on what kind of deer to expect, or elk or whatever, and what the experience was that they had, so that you can make sure that you're choosing the right outfit, and so you can make sure that your money is being well spent. However, we're having a good time. It's fun. It's still hunting. It's still God's country. So we're out here. We're going to keep looking at bucks, and we're going to see what we can turn up. If we find something just a little bit bigger than what we've been finding, chances are we're probably going to shoot them. Last thing I would say with this is I also feel like if our hunt was the last season hunt, I believe the 4th season hunt, then we would be into more snow, and a lot of those big country bucks, I think we would be pushed into some of this flat country a lot more. So those higher elevation bucks, we might be seeing a little bit more. So that could be part of it, but let's get back to the hunt. Got a little kicker there or something.
Shot back there too.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's deceiving us probably some too.
Yep. All right, so we found this deer. He was milling around with a couple other bucks and does. And we seen him, I seen him from probably a mile and a half up on a skyline. And I immediately seen that he was a bigger frame deer than anything that we've seen. I was like, that might be a buck I'd shoot. Let's go get a closer look at him. So we get closer. We get into about 500 yards of him. And he's definitely bigger than anything we've seen. But I'm kind of torn apart. It's the first night, or the second night that we've hunted, really the first full day. Do I shoot this buck or do I let him walk? And we've looked at so many deer. And my confidence in finding a bigger buck, the more we look at bucks, the more we just find the same size deer, the more my confidence in finding a big buck has been going down. So when I seen this, he's definitely a good bit bigger than anything that we've seen. He's even with his ears, maybe a little more, and just a nice dark 3x4. I thought I might shoot him. Let's look at him for a while. So we look at him for 10 minutes through the spotting scopes, and I'm kind of torn between. And I said, you know what? That's a mature deer. I seen that other 4-point walk in front of him, and the body size, there was just no comparison. This buck was much bigger body than that other 4x4. I was like, that's a mature deer. That's a 4.5-year-old buck. That might have a bigger rack than what we actually think because his body's so big. He's dark. He's decent. Let's go ahead and shoot him. About the time we decide to shoot him, he beds down. And so we're just waiting for him to stand up. All in all, I believe he stayed bedded for probably 20 to 30 minutes. We probably sat there for at least 30 minutes before he finally stood up. But he finally gets up, and we get set to make the shot.
I'd like for him to be standing this way. They don't need to be, but it's just the most forgiving shot. And I can hold the crosshairs right on his shoulders, and if I drift this much in wind, I'm still in the back of the lungs. But if it's the other way, I'll probably hold more like central of the lung. If it drifts, we get the shoulder. We got a buck spotted up here on the hill. He's bigger than anything we've seen yet, so we're thinking about shooting him, but he's bedded down at the moment. I have to wait till he stands up. All right, we got this buck bedded at 500 yards, just waiting for him to stand up. Let's see if we can make him lay down again.
I think I still laid down, yeah.
Nope, he stood up. He stood up. He's walking to the right. See him? Right there.
Hold on. If you got him, shoot him. Oh, hold on. Okay, if he stops. Ooh, right there, get him if you got him. Still on him.
Hit him with a new range rock.
Have to get him before you tore that hill.
See the top there?
He's the very back one. Facing back towards us now. Yep. Oh, hit him. Up over the hill he went.
See?
What's that?
You see where I hit?
I couldn't tell for sure. It seemed to hit him, but
All right, so this deer finally stands up, and I get on him, he moves, I get on him, he moves, and this is almost a 500 yard, it is a 500 yard shot by the time I shoot him. I had to range him an extra time. He kept moving out. I believe he was at about 470 when I first started, you know, getting everything on him, and he keeps moving, so I range him again, and we got a pretty decent wind left to right, and I know that, and I really wanted him to be turned with his shoulder into the wind so I can hold on the shoulder and drift into the middle of the lungs if I'm going to get any drift. And if I happen to shoot through no wind or the wind dies down, I'm hitting him right on the shoulder. And as you can hear if you pay attention, is just as I shoot, I literally shoot through a big gust of wind and drifted dead mid-body. I hit him right through the middle, which is basically, I would say I lunged towards the back of the lungs. So he runs over the hill, and so we kind of skirt around. I didn't have the cameras turned on here. I've been doing did the shot through my spotting scope, and so I didn't grab that, but we circled around and went over the hill where he came, and he was bedded, and we kicked him up, and he ran back where we were, and as soon as he started running back, he went over the hill again so we couldn't see him. So by the time we got to the top of the hill again so we could see him, he had dropped down and was standing down in the bottom at 450 yards. And he was just standing there. He had just kind of walked. He ran a little bit, then he just kind of walked like he's hurting, and then he stopped. And he just stood there. And luckily, he wasn't turned away. He was turned pretty broadside. And I dialed up 450 yards and held just a little bit more wind this time and put one right on the shoulder and watched him fold up in the scope. Unfortunately, I don't have that on the video, but here we headed over where we shot him, and we're going to go recover the buck. All right, we just hiked in here, found our buck laying right over here. Let's go put our hands on him. Yeah. Yeah. Look at this. Look at the size of the body on that thing. Oh, yeah. Hey, we'll take that. Not a bad deer at all. Right here's our first shot. We just drifted a little bit. There's our second one that dropped him. Just got a little wind drift. I held about here. And we just drifted on this shot. I literally held up here. Windy conditions, but you take what you can get. Just a healthy mule deer. Look at the size of the body on that. Nothing wrong with that, eh?
not at all.
We've been having to work to find good deer. This snow's been helping, and we've been seeing a little better deer, and this guy came out and I couldn't resist. Take some meat back to camp. All right, let's do a few pictures. Hey, I appreciate you stopping by, watching the video. Just want to say thanks for your support. If you have supported me in the past in my elevation rifle business or my YouTube channel, if you've commented, liked, subscribed, I do appreciate it. Until next time, God bless you. Have a wonderful day.